Over the last 10 years, the world has watched Disney turn one beloved studio after another into creative batteries, sucking all of their pre-existing franchises dry.
Baby Groot will star in a series of shorts on Disney+.
This is our latest effort in making robots that we think can have an emotional connection with our guests.
And while this may have worked for a while, today, the internet is coming after them.
Thank you so much, and let's give another big round of applause.
Disney Plus is losing millions of subscribers, and it feels like people are getting tired of non-stop sequels, spin-offs, and remakes.
That people say superhero fatigue. I actually think it's almost the feeling of having to do homework fatigue.
Disney's panicking, trying their best to reverse the damage. The funny part is, they've just ended up back where they started all this almost 20 years ago. It's 1986, and Steve Jobs, freshly ousted from Apple, buys Pixar, who at that time is just the computer graphics division at Lucasfilm, for $10 million. At the time, Pixar is focused on building hardware for 3D animation, but Steve shifts the mission to storytelling. And he's got the dream team. There's Ed Catmull, creator of this what is that? Hand, and John Lasseter, an animator that was just fired from Disney. But you know what? That's fine, because they all have the same passion for the future of animation.
We don't look at it as a way to replace any of the creativity or any of the real art of filmmaking. We look at it as these are just great, new, expensive pencils.
Together, they changed the entire animation industry, creating the first ever full 3D animated short film, Tin Toy. And it's absolutely terrifying. But it wins them an Oscar, and gives them enough confidence to take the next step. The first full 3D animated feature film. The only problem is, they need more money. Meanwhile, Disney is struggling. Their animated films are flopping, which isn't good considering animated films are the backbone of the company. CEO Michael Eisner sees an opportunity and strikes a deal with Steve Jobs. Disney pays the production costs and gets the rights to all the characters in the movie. Pixar makes the movie and receives 12.5% of the box office revenue. Also, if things go well, Disney can contract Pixar to make 2 more movies for them. Steve agrees to the terms, but John Lasseter, being a former Disney employee, has a few small reservations. In regards to giving Disney control over the characters, he says, "It's like you have these dear children, and you have to give them up to be adopted by convicted molesters." Nevertheless, he gives in, and Toy Story breaks all expectations.
Have him smile on the other side as well. It's so precise.
This is Buzz. He gets dirtier throughout the film.
They go on to make A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2. Now, after giving Disney 3 of the most successful movies of all time, Disney reluctantly renegotiates. You see, while Disney originally saw Pixar as a risk, their newfound success has turned them into a bit of a threat.
Animation at a high level of perfection is not economically feasible anymore. Like in the heydays of Disney, where there were thousands of artists that you could hire very cheaply. That was wonderful. Maybe not for the artists, but for Disney. And now it's the only way to do it is going to be with a computer. So it'd be nice to get rid of all that trashy animation and get back to some, Fantasia quality stuff.
They managed to get through a few more years together. But even as Pixar's movies soar past everything Disney Animation puts out, it's clear Michael Eisner still thinks Disney would be better off making Pixar movies without Pixar. And by 2005, the partnership is on its last legs. And so is Disney. In fact, the situation is so bad that Roy Disney, nephew of Walt Disney, starts campaigning to investors for Michael Eisner's removal.
Hi, I'm Roy Disney. I've become concerned with the direction in which the Disney company is moving. If you're a Disney shareholder, in my view, the best way to help save Disney is to vote no on the re-election of Michael Eisner.
And in 2005, it finally happens.
From the day I started in 1965, that I'm like a manager of a baseball team. And managers of a baseball team have a couple bad seasons and they get fired. And it's not a shameful thing.
That's what losing sounds like.
Michael Eisner's forced out, and Bob Iger steps in as Disney's new CEO.
Well, I think it's likely that Disney movies will be made in India as Bollywood movies by Bollywood talent.
We had a lot of success with Pixar, basically a joint venture with them. That was ending, and Steve Jobs, in a very, very kind of in-your-face manner, told us publicly that the Pixar relationship with Disney would end.
Unlike Eisner, Bob Iger doesn't think Disney can survive on their own, so he makes a call to Steve Jobs.
I felt that I had to address Disney animation, that it needed huge improvement. And I thought the fastest way to accomplish that, albeit the riskiest and the most expensive, was to buy Pixar.
In 2006, they officially acquired Pixar and promised creative freedom. Many observers say the real value in this deal isn't Disney buying Pixar, it's Pixar taking over Disney animation.
Scaring children. For me, that's a very, very poignant moment in the film.
With his plan working absolute miracles, Bob teaches the rest of the Disney executives a powerful lesson. Why nurture creativity from within when you can just buy it?
And the Oscar goes to Finding Nemo. And
for a while, it works.
Bob Iger is charming and powerful, the guy that's having lunch with Oprah at the Polo Lounge. He's kind of embodied that kind of Hollywood swagger.
In 2009, Bob begins his legendary shopping spree.
The original Iger reign at Disney was all about content.
But first, if you want to make good first impressions like Bob, it's important to smell good. Luckily, the sponsor of this video, Scentbird, can help you out. A fragrance isn't just a new smell. It completely rewires how you experience your day. When you smell good, you feel good. Recently, I've tried a couple of incredible scents. This one's called Dusk by Toomey. It's a really good mix of spicy and fresh, so I put this on at the start of my day to get ready for whatever work I need to do. I also got this one by Imaginary Authors called Waffle Cone, because I wanted to see if it smells like waffle cone, and it does. Quick tip, apply it to pulse points like your wrist and neck if you want it to stay on for longer. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. Discovering new scents should be as easy as it is exciting, which is why I love Scentbird. It's a subscription service that lets you explore over 900 authentic designer and niche fragrances each month. And these aren't just department store samples. Each one of these is 8 milliliters and provides around 120 sprays. Plenty to test how each scent works for you in different situations. Now for those of you looking to dive in head first, use promo code SIRW55 or scan the QR code on screen to get 55% off your first month. That means you're only paying $8 to try your first fragrance from Scentbird, and your next month will be only $16.95. Now compared to what you'll be paying for similar sized samples online, that's pretty much nothing. Elevate your fragrance collection without breaking the bank. And remember to use promo code SIRW55 for 55% off your first month. Now let's see what Bob is buying with the business credit card. First, just to dip their toes in the water, they buy Marvel Studios for $4 billion.
Plan to use all of Disney's global distribution and marketing resources to extend and increase the popularity of the Marvel brand and its treasure trove of over 5,000 characters.
The studio recently blew the world away with Iron Man. Despite being centered around what comic fans consider a C-list character, and starring an actor who at the time is blacklisted from Hollywood, it quickly becomes one of the most successful comic book movies of all time.
And I did, you did a lot of research for this. You didn't have to do all that stuff.
No.
Why is that important to you?
Well, I mean, I'm so much of an individual. I believe that I'm a separatist in my thinking as a separate individual, not a separate as a group. If you realize you are an insignificant worm and anything good comes to you, you know, you didn't bring it to yourself.
Yeah. Now, Rhodey is Tony Stark's most loyal, trusted friend. Do you have friends like that?
The best part? Apparently it's just the beginning.
You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe.
The president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, has a vision for an on-screen Marvel comic book universe.
Right? These are all individual stories meant to be enjoyed as singular entities.
And with the rights to around 5,000 characters, if they make one movie for each character, that's around 5,000 movies. Potentially an infinite source of content, as long as they can figure out a new saga once this one ends. Once again, Bob promises creative independence. At first, fans don't know what to think. However, when the Avengers brings everything together in 2012, all their worries disappear.
You always dress up for these premieres?
I stopped after a couple bad incidents with Indiana Jones and Spider-Man 3, but...
The movie earns $1.5 billion in the worldwide box office, and the next year Iron Man 3 earns another $1 billion. Disney buying Marvel was the best thing that could have ever happened. They're giving Feige whatever budget he needs. Just like that, the Marvel formula becomes Hollywood's most coveted secret. Suddenly, everything is trying to be a cinematic universe, but all the attempts fail miserably. Needless to say, Star Wars fans are happy to hear they're going to get the Marvel treatment. You see, the same year the Avengers releases, George Lucas decides he's had enough. Being the guy who made Star Wars has taken its toll.
Today is my first day of writing the new Star Wars series.
You know why I have money and you don't have money?
Okay.
It's because instead of spending my time doing autographs, I spent my time making movies.
Even though George considers the franchise his baby, around the 30-year mark there comes a time when you need to kick it out to survive on its own.
It'll be better for the universe, it'll be better for everybody. You know, but there's always this little part in you is saying, what am I doing?
Disney comes in and purchases Lucasfilm for another $4 billion. Not only do they get Star Wars, but also George Lucas's own outline for a Star Wars sequel trilogy, which Disney wants to get started right away.
Fans can expect a new feature film in theaters worldwide in 2015.
This time, fans are more excited.
Disney's doing fine with Marvel, so honestly, I don't see why they could screw up Star Wars.
They haven't gotten a movie from this franchise in nearly a decade, and suddenly, someone's come to rescue them. Kathleen Kennedy, longtime friend of George Lucas and newly appointed president of Lucasfilm.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them.
Her first move as president: tear up George's outline, throw it in the trash can, and hand everything over to J.J. Abrams.
Tears were streaming down her face. I thought, this is unbelievable. And I asked her to stop, gave her a couple adjustments, do it again. And she did it again. And I thought, oh my God.
You know, this is not like a series of books like Harry Potter where you've already got a template of what the stories might be.
They decided they didn't want to use those stories. They decided they were going to go do their own thing, and so I decided, fine. They said, we want to make something for the fans. These are my kids. You know, I loved them, I created them. I'm very intimately involved in them, and
you
sell them
sold
off.
them.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
2013 marks the start of Bob Iger's golden age. Marvel's still on fire. Pixar is releasing hits like WALL-E and Up. They even found time to revive Disney's animation studio, who just released one of the most profitable movies of all time, Frozen.
Now, a full year after Frozen's release, it's boosting all of the company's divisions.
I think it is a great testament to a strategy to focus on franchises and our great brands.
By 2015, Disney's formula seems unstoppable. Wall Street declares Bob Iger a genius, and Disney's stock soars 400%.
One of the great skills of Bob is being able to read what the market trends are going and make decisions on how to place big bets.
But beneath the surface, cracks are forming. For one, Pixar is currently stumbling. Steve Jobs died 8 years ago. John Lasseter leaves the company after some misconduct allegations.
Look who's there. That's Denise Ream. She hasn't been on camera yet today.
And Ed Catmull retires in 2019, meaning the original visionaries who built Pixar are gone. Original concepts take a back seat, and sequels take over the schedule.
But in the case of Toy Story, the third one is just magnificent. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And if you've seen the other two, then it's devastating.
Is it a cartoon?
Yeah, well, it's a cartoon. But the thing is, then 3 years later or something, they did a fourth.
I knew it. No, you're
trying
guys,
to get
listen.
fun.
Trash? No, toys.
You literally ended the story as perfect as you could.
Pixar's mandate has clearly shifted from original at all costs to keep the franchises alive. Meanwhile, Marvel continues its ascent, building towards an unprecedented climax.
We have always had a plan from the moment Nick Fury broke into Tony Stark's house and told him,
Stark, you become part of a bigger universe.
He just didn't know it yet.
You just don't know it.
Well, I think he knows it now, and by May 4th, 2018, everybody will know it because it is the beginning of the culmination of everything that has come before.
$2.7 billion worldwide, the culmination of 23 interconnected films. It's a genuine cultural phenomenon, but Disney doesn't see completion. After wrapping things up and putting a bow on the main storyline, the MCU, once meticulously planned by Feige, begins to sprawl beyond control.
Baby Groot will star in a series of shorts on Disney Plus featuring several new and unusual characters. Miss Marvel is a Pakistani-American teen superhero. Armor Wars, a classic Marvel story about Tony Stark's worst fear coming true. Pakistani-American teen superhero. So by now you should start getting a sense of the interconnectedness that infuses all of our storytelling.
Suddenly every movie takes place in some sort of multiverse.
Oh, I hate the multiverse too, by the way. I hate the multiverse. Anyone involved with the movie can go, oh, well, I got an eraser right here called the multiverse. Yeah, no, this person didn't die. No, what we told you about their powers was only true in these universes, but not these universes. I'm like, it's.
But the state of the MCU is nothing compared to Star Wars.
Well, see, again, I mean, and I told Brian this, it's no surprise. I said, I just fundamentally disagree with your concept of this character.
Finally, in 2014, the moment fans have been waiting for, The Force Awakens trailer drops. Even with a $450 million budget, the trailer reveals basically nothing.
The dark side. The Jedi.
The Force.
Fans are still left speechless.
That put a tear in my eye. That moment was just super cool.
Just sitting there going,
In 2015, George Lucas sees it and isn't a fan.
They wanted to do a retro movie. I don't like that. Every movie I worked very hard to make them different. I make them completely different with, different planets, with different spaceships, with different, to make it new.
So are you at peace with this?
Yeah. Avatar director James Cameron puts it like this.
I have to say that I felt that George's group of 6 films had more innovative visual imagination, and this film was more of a retrenchment to things you had seen before.
But after years of getting criticism for the prequel movies, he says the fans will love it. It's very much the kind of movie they've been looking for.
I very purposely wanted to sort of revisit the old in order to start and tell the new. And that was the challenge. And again, for those who hate it, I could not respect your opinion more.
The visuals are downright gorgeous. The cast is likable, and the mysteries leave everyone begging JJ to tell them what happens next. But it turns out, not even JJ knows that. And he abandons the movie before figuring it out.
In 7, you discovered Luke obviously is a hermit on this island, that there's so much unsaid about where he's been.
So they need to find someone else. They get the guy who directed Looper to come in. And after Disney's editing task force does their magic, fans get a first look.
There's a trailer. Of course there's a trailer. What are you doing?
Looks promising. But when people actually see it,
I cried more in this movie than any Star Wars movie ever before.
I don't even have one good thing to say about this.
I should not say any spoilers, but let me tell you that you will be mouth agape.
it creates a permanent rift in their fan base. Remember when Kathleen Kennedy said this?
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them.
Two of the main characters are dead, and pretty much everything established in the Star Wars universe so far is completely abandoned.
So Rian Johnson, you d***ed up, bro! As the Sith Lord says, Order 66!
Even Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, has gripes.
Mark, very understandably, wasn't thrilled about some of the choices in the script. The big things being that he's not the Luke Skywalker that we knew, and frankly, the fact that he dies at the end.
I mean, it says right in the script, forget the past, kill it if you have to. You're doing a pretty good job.
I'm trying.
In fact, my first reaction was, can't we push this off until 9?
Fans of the movie applaud it for making bold choices. Finally, someone taking risks with the franchise, but since any hopes for a cohesive vision are out the window anyway, they switch directors 2 more times, finally landing on JJ, who's there to fix the mess the first director made. And within just 18 months, him and his team managed to rewrite the entire script, shoot, edit, and finally they put out a trailer. To this day, experts still aren't sure what they're putting in these. But this time when the movie comes out, pretty much everyone, including the cast and crew, have the same reaction.
Don't use any words, okay? What was your reaction to the end of the movie? But don't use words, okay? Ready?
How does it end?
3, 2, 1. Bryce got him.
Unfortunately, it's just not enough. In February 2020, Bob Iger makes a shocking announcement. After 15 years of acquiring studios, he feels like he's done his job and is stepping down, effective immediately. And Bob Chapek, formerly the head of Disney's theme parks, becomes the next Bob arc.
With the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, we set a new standard for the most immersive storytelling.
Hey, you guys looking for me?
It's the spy we've been tracking.
Why now, and why is Bob Chapek the right person for the job?
Well, it's a great time to begin this transition.
What could possibly go wrong?
Heightened states of emergency across the nation as a number of coronavirus cases soars above 3,000.
I think the timing was unfortunate.
Suddenly, they're back to square one. Bob restructures the entire company around Disney+. Fans are optimistic. Only now, investors are only looking at viewership and the size of your catalog. All the creative independence Bob Iger promised, gone. Pixar's relegated to streaming filler, with planned theatrical releases like Soul, Luca, and Turning Red getting sent straight to Disney+.
Disney's just gonna skip the theaters with its movies. It's coming straight to a TV near you.
Then when they make their big theatrical return, it's a spin-off of Toy Story without any toys.
Number 2 with just 51 million, which was far below the predicted 70 million.
One kiss is all it takes. No problem, right? Well, not if you're in the latest Lightyear animation.
Marvel's quality also collapses. Disney's now locked most of the new MCU content behind a paywall. The Netflix shows also had this problem, but they were side content. You could watch the movies without watching them. But if you go to see the Marvels without seeing WandaVision and Miss Marvel, you're screwed. Fans try keeping up at first, but eventually it starts to feel like homework.
There's a sense that people say superhero fatigue. I actually think it's a
It's almost the feeling of having to do homework fatigue. These are all individual stories meant to be enjoyed as singular entities.
The Marvels becomes the lowest grossing film in MCU history. They continue to pump out cheap spin-off TV shows and movies like Eternals, which is basically like Avengers, but with a dozen characters no one's ever heard of, which only make the overarching story more confusing.
Not only will Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness connect directly to the events of WandaVision, but it will also connect to the events of our new Spider-Man film. Both Secret Invasion and Ironheart will tie directly to MCU feature films. So by now you should start getting a sense of the interconnectedness.
Disney even resorts to sucking itself dry. At some point they come to the conclusion that nothing is sacred, and start remaking their own animated classics. Lion King is remade with animals that fans of the original say are a touch too realistic. Then one day their morbid curiosity got the best of them, and they greenlight a remake of one of Walt Disney's favorites. Disney's first ever feature film, Snow White. The lead actress, Rachel Zegler, makes some controversial comments about the original.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. A guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
3-year-old star of the film has made some comments that didn't go over well. Can you imagine a multi-billion-dollar company and all the shareholders being held hostage by the comments of a 23-year-old actress?
A 2-year-long back and forth ensues, culminating in a $400 million box office disaster.
Expectations for the film were significantly higher, and
2023 is the company's worst financial year in decades.
Well, thank you so much, and let's give another big round of applause to the...
Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Alex.
Disney Plus loses millions of subscribers, and the parent company's stock crashes 50%.
That was almost $200 a share back when we thought Disney Plus was going to take over the world.
In response, Bob Iger reclaims the CEO title.
How you doing, guys? Great to see you again.
So, Kelly, superficially, this is really a failed relationship between two men.
He immediately gives the studios back their creative control and dives headfirst into cost cutting. The numbers speak for themselves. He cuts $7.5 billion in annual expenses, leading to over 8,000 job cuts, cancels multiple Lucasfilm projects, and scraps Marvel's current saga entirely, replacing it with a 5-hour-long live stream of some chairs, which I can only assume is an attempt to deceive audiences.
So Bob Iger has told people privately that the damage done from the Bob Chapek regime has been the main thing that he has tried to undo for the last 9 months or so that he's been on the job.
And by 2025, there's signs of stabilization. Marvel executive Kevin Feige publicly blames Disney for the recent failures, claiming they were forced to produce too much content. So he announces that after 2025, Marvel Studios will reduce their output to 2 films and 3 series per year. The only projects Lucasfilm has put out are Star Wars spin-off TV shows, and a recent re-release of the 3rd episode leaves fans hopeful for what's to come. There's also supposed to be a new trilogy starring Ryan Gosling. Fans remain doubtful anything will come from these changes.
They're actually trying to trick normies and casual fans into actually thinking that this is the next big Avengers event, okay?
But what do you think? And remember, if you want to smell good, go to the link in the description box and use promo code SIRW55 to get 55% off your first month of Scentbird.